Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline. So me, talking all sorts of stuff on this one. My word, I was all over the map. Feeling cold. Yep, that's the thing. Fear of death. Yeah, it's a bright and breezy one this week. Not putting on weight. Putting on weight, money, and stress, I guess. Yeah, it'll all become obvious when you listen. No movie or VR, I realised partway through, but there's plenty, and I mean plenty of TV, and plenty of computer games. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review, leave a comment where you can leave them. And share the podcast around. That's the one we like the most because it gets us out there in the world, gets other people listening, gets us all those lovely, lovely likes and subscriptions and all sorts of things. And Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello, how you doing? Hello. Felt like it was one of those. I wasn't sure that it was. Probably doesn't make much sense. Once again, had to surprise myself because it's very late. Late. And hell of a list to go through today. Whew. Oh my word. Such a... you see, now I've just realised that there is actually something missing from this week's list. Not because I haven't put it on, because it didn't happen. No movie. Can you believe it? No movie. Oh my God. There is... many hours of television, though. So, all those weeks where I'm like, I didn't watch any TV this week. Apparently, we've flipped the script. Put another massive crack into the screen protector. Oh, wait. Is it going? Yeah, make that several. I'm going to have to replace that. But that's why we buy many screen protectors. I genuinely think I've been through about 15. Like 10 in the last year, because there was a point where I was just breaking them repeatedly, and then I just replaced them, and then I just stopped replacing them. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We're not talking about this. We're talking about... a new sensation for me. Not new, but new enough, and it's worse. So it was bad enough for me to talk about it. Obviously, at this point in time, the seasons have changed. Very much into autumn. Very autumnal. One of those words that I like it. Today, driving home, I had to turn the heating down in the car because it was 17 degrees going to the car. I was like, wow, that's warm. However, not every day is the same, and some days been a little bit fresher than others. And what I keep saying to people is, when I was a much larger gentleman, I was always warm. Constantly just warm. That was my standard default setting. I always took the opportunity to be cold where I could, because when you're always warm, it's very rare that you are cold. Simple. I've experienced poison time. Not surprisingly, usually a lower weight than, lower than being a big fat fatty. Where I have experienced cold. And I get affected in certain ways by the cold. My hands go numb, my feet go numb. The extremities. I always go on about how I'm afflicted by Raynaud's. I don't know if that is true. It certainly feels it. So, last week, I started doing the... Is it cold? I feel really cold. Is it cold? And knew that something had gone wrong when the people around me were like, no, not really. It's like, oh no. Had an experience where I'd gone into the office and for the third time in the entire time I've worked for that company, I was like, it's a bit chilly in here. Because it's usually hot as fucking balls. So yes, it's got to the stage where I'm already considering getting out all of my, I don't know what you call it, like cold weather gear is kind of, I suppose, what it is. But I've got a variety of like hand warmer, wrist warmer. I'll be getting out the feet. I don't know what you'd call it. You put both your feet in and it's all like soft and furry. And it's also, if you put batteries in it, it is heated, which I've never actually tried. It's always just been enough to put my feet in it. There was a point where I was putting my feet in it with my slippers on. But yes, it's always that thing that I always do notice, that I actually get cold. And I don't like it. And it makes me think about all the people I've ever had the debate with. These people, you get these people who are always cold. I'm always cold. And I used to look at them like they had two heads, because I was always like, just put a jumper on. Just put a jumper on. I mean, it's not that difficult. Just put a jumper on. And I think about all of those people, and I think, yeah, when I'm there in my jumper and my, all of me is covered, and I'm like, is it cold? I'm cold. Are you cold? Is it cold? And I hate myself because I've now become one of those people. I always wind my eldest up saying that she is a lizard person because she's always cold, and this is now my karma for that. So yeah, I've been thinking recently that I keep talking about the same subjects and I keep talking about the same things, and recently I've been like, is it boring? Is it time to change subjects? Is it time to move on? And I've said this in the past, and I've also talked about the fact that it's just where I am in my life, and I find myself wanting to like go out into the world and help. I see people and I want to go to them and be like, I can help you. I can tell you, I can help you get better. And then I often think it's like, no, because you don't know what problems people are dealing with, what demons people have, and so on and so forth. I just feel like where I am in my life right now, there's a lot of focus around a lot of the same stuff. But you got to think like, it would be like best part of 20 years of the other side of it. So, you know, it's new, it's novel, it's a lot of discovery for me. And, you know, in those situations, I talk about these things. The reason I'm saying all of this is because I've got a lot of the same stuff to go through this week. There was a couple of points last week where I managed to lose weight from eating more. Now, I am very much aware that this is a concept that's not new. And if we had about 4 hours, I could go through it and break it down. Only through stuff I have heard or read from others, but the theory is sound. It's still a foreign concept when you are like, I'm on a diet, I need to eat next to nothing and lose weight. For then someone to turn around to you and go, you're not eating enough, you need to eat more. And you're like, I don't think I can do that. So there's this like kind of really foreign aspect to it all. And ultimately, you don't know until you try. Now, I had a realization recently that my goal of 200 grams of protein a day, I will have been quite a ways off. I did some sort of tracking, and I was like, even on like a really heavy, really going for it day, I'm always like, oh, by the time I get home, I've had 100 grams of protein on an office day, because my lunch is like this many grams, and I've had like, you know, before I've left the house, I've had this many grams, and by the time I get home, I've had this many grams. And then absolutely dropping the ball by not having another 100 grams of protein before going to bed. And not even realizing. I'm like, yeah, I'm 100. I've got one meal to get 100 grams in. It's not the case. So I was like, right, I need to dial this in. I need to really focus. I need to find tips and tricks and ways to shoot that protein through the roof. Try and get a lot closer to the 200. Like, you can sit down and be like, oh, this meal's 50 grams. Okay, well, you're 50 grams short. So, there you go. So, there's been a lot of me being like, well, what about this, what about that? So, there was a day where, the day in particular I'm talking about, the day where I went, okay, so I'm going to add an additional meal between lunch and tea, dinner, whichever you want, of just protein, just nothing but protein. So in I go with my protein. Will have ended up getting, I can't remember whether it was like 16 grams or whether it was 32 grams, I can't remember. Went in super heavy protein tea, where there was a lot of like, this is probably more like your 50, and I hit a protein shake, and I think it was like either a pudding or a bar. Was probably going to be in and around the 200 grams. I was like, right, okay, as a test, we'll see what this does for tomorrow. And yes, you step on the scales and you go, okay, I've lost 6 ounces, not 6 pounds, obviously. I've lost 6 ounces, but it is a loss. So it was like, wow, after all the stuff that I ate to get me, just purely to get me to 200 grams of protein, to achieve that and to come in at less weight. And then I had another day where, again, I was like, right, I'm really going to go for it. I'm really going to try and hit it. Dialed up the overall calories on that day, whilst heavy on the protein. very similar results. So, yeah, it's... I was having this conversation yesterday, and I was saying, like, ultimately, if you look at the 200 grams I would need, there's a reason that people are having 2 protein shakes a day, a morning, afternoon. There are a reason that, certain people in certain sort of ways are doing, like, steak and eggs, the obvious one being chicken breast and whatever, because it's just like they just have to get as much protein in as possible. So it becomes understandable when you've set a goal and then realise that it's so wildly unachievable, but you still have to try and achieve it. You're like, the fuck do I do this? So yes, there's a lot of cheats and tricks. I've used one this evening. I found a particular food that I eat is high protein, low calorie for what it is. So it's very much I can sneak that in as an addition to the meal I'm eating, and I can have it as an additional meal if needed. If I know I'm going to be low on a particular day, just hit that. Something that was discovered whilst going through, like, with being vegetarian, the foods that you eat and stuff, going through some of the foods and finding which was the best. One of the items that I ate turned out to be 42 grams of protein. It was like, I'm just going to eat those from now on. Nothing else, just those. I jest, obviously. Had an experience on... doesn't matter what day. One day last week, had an experience. Me and my son had gone... we done like a park tour. He was super like, let's go to the park. I was like, yeah, okay, let me just do this and do that and do the other. He was like, we can go now. I was like, yeah, we can, but for me personally, I would like to, do a couple of jobs, get a couple of things done, do this, that, and the other. And he's like, but we could go now. And, after a while, when you're like, this is clearly, he's clearly got being inspired by it. He's clearly got like a drive for this or whatever. And you're like, okay, let's go now. Let me scrap everything else and let's just go. And that's what we did. Went to the park. We had some time at the park. I've more recently not been taking children to the park because it often seems to devolve into, why are we here? Nobody's going on any park items. Nobody's like playing. We're just messing, and not in a productive way. Like every now and then, like an argument or breakout or something. And I'm often like, why are we here? We could be arguing at home. We could be playing hide and seek at home. We're in an open space. Who's hiding here? That sort of stuff. So we went and we had a bit of time and went on some stuff and that. But there was more of a, let's play this game or let's play that game. And I was like, yeah, okay. We have a good time. We leave. He's like, right, we'll go to the other part now. I'm like, mate, if we were going there, we should have gone by now. He's like, well, we'll just go. We'll go. We'll get in the car and we'll go. I'm like, I love your simplicity, but it's not that simple. And then instantly I'm like, I guess it kind of is. Why can't you just spend your life and your time a little bit more like a child? He wanted to go to the park. We went to the park. He wanted to go to a different park. So I was like, yeah, I was like, let's go quick and then we can go. So off to another park we went. And we're in the park. And he's doing this and he's doing that. And the second park we went to is a lot more a variety of activities. They've got a sandpit, they've got like all the play stuff, slide and swings, climbing frame, stuff like that. And then they've got like an indoor area for playing with toys and stuff. And he basically likes to hit all three. He's like, I want to do some sand, I want to do some slide, and then I want to go and play with the toys. And we had like a decent amount of time. He allowed me to make a drink to take with us. So, I had a coffee, so I was done. I was fine. And away we go. There's a point. He was doing something. And I was like, man, this guy, he's just the best. He's great. I love this kid. Anytime, can guarantee, anytime I have a thought or a feeling or an emotion like that, I panic. And I'm like, shit. Didn't have time to dwell on it. We go home. He goes off for a nap. I do a workout. I get him up. I'm like, mate, you need to have some lunch. I'm going to do treadmill. You can watch something. Everybody's winning. But let's get you some lunch. So I had him some lunch. And he was sat. And because it was very much like, you need to eat your lunch so I can get on the treadmill so that you can watch it. I was just sat waiting. So he's eating his lunch and we're chatting and he's like, spouting all the stuff from his child brain at me. And I was drinking a coffee. I was having an enjoyable time. I was like, yeah, this is. I feel like this is a good day, good parenting day, good child day. Tick 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 tick, tick all the boxes. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh no. So, if you've been here before, if you've listened before, if you've listened a little while ago, I got absolutely consumed with the thought of death. And there's a part of me that thinks it was a good thing. I think it's probably roundabout where I probably decided to make some changes. And I felt that it kept me, in a way, a little more grounded, a little more focused, a little more like, you're going to die one day, so do this now. And, you're not going to be here forever. And, if you do that, then you're shortening your lifespan. And a lot of that. And that, I think, if I'm honest, I look at people and I think everybody goes through it. And I look at some people and I feel like I wish you could be where I am now. Like younger people, I wish you could understand what I'm thinking and feeling about, we're all going to die one day. So I've got the situation going on with my son. I'll all of a sudden start panicking about death. I'll all of a sudden start panicking about death for him. Because I look at it and I'm like, there's that part of me that's like, I think I had you too late in life. And doing like some maths and being like, when he's like a particular age, what age I will be. And I was like, fuck, man. I don't think I'm going to make it that far. The life I've led till this point, I don't think it's happening. Then I did some more maths to see how, where I would be at a particular age for him. And I was like, if I'm alive at that point in time, I'm going to be looking at retirement at that point. I was like, shit. I was like, what's that going to be like for him? He's going off to start life and, you know, whatever that life might be, looking at me going, all right, old man. Then I'm thinking, like, you know, with the whole, you know, fear of death and everything, I'm like, what if I die between now and then? Between now and then, if I die, he is going to have to go through the experience of losing a parent before that point in life. I think there's an acceptable age onwards that it's not great. It's never going to be great, but it's kind of more acceptable to lose a parent. For me to get to that age, for him to be in that realm, that world of, yeah, it's not ideal, but I can, you know, I can handle it, I can deal with it, and I can move on. I would have to live a really long time past here. And I don't think that's a thing. So I then started working it backwards, going, at which age is he going to be? Likely, let's say it's 10 years. Let's say I get 10 more years. 10 more years is not enough to put him in a position to be able to deal with the loss of a parent. But even now I'm like, 10 years is probably a stretch. So then I ended up in this complete spiral, being like full of all this love, where you're like, man, I love this kid. And then you think about it, I think about like my other children, and I'm like, oh man, I love all these children. Every one of them's different, and everyone's got different, you know, they've all got different problems and issues, but they've also got different, every single one of them have different personalities, they've got different wants and needs and drives, and all of that's great. As I've said before, my running joke is, unless you're trying to make a meal. And I love them all differently and independently and all of that. But that quickly turns into, are each of them going to be okay? Are each of them going to be able to survive? Right? And your job as a parent is to set your child up to be able to deal with things. My youngest daughter today has had a day. I will go through it shortly. My middle daughter seems to be unaffected by some of the stuff that's going on around her, but some of the stuff that's going on around her is genuinely fucking awful. And I'm like, I'm kind of glad that you're not super affected by this, but at the same time, it's really bad. So your job as a parent is to give your children the tools to cope, survive, to deal. And I'm like, okay, that's all well and good, but what if they need to cope, survive, and deal earlier than you're able to give them the tools for? So yeah, that was my day. I'm like, cool. Now I get to panic about that for the rest of time. Rest of my time, that's for sure. I want to go through a scenario for you. With you, let's say. You have that thing. Like, it's been an expensive time. Car issues. I have got a birthday coming up. And it's a big birthday, etc., etc. And I have... It's that time of year, the darker time of the year, where I suppose money just becomes a bit of a stretch. Like I say, big birthday coming. You've got things like Bonfire Night, Halloween. Obviously, they're not free. and sometimes not cheap, depending. I think neither of them are going to be cheap in our house this year. And then it's that sort of slide to the end of the year. And you're thinking and you're planning and you're doing. Money becomes a factor. Money's always a factor. I got a £2,000 bill for my car. And apparently, that money is just supposed to materialise out of thin air. Yeah. Anyway. So, a lot of focus at the moment around, oh, I need that money to pay that, and I need that money to pay that. Oh, I need to order that, so I'll need money to pay for that. And how the fuck am I supposed to pay for the car without, draining this fund and that fund and maybe a little bit of this fund, and maybe I'll transfer some money from there to there and that'll make that easier, or maybe I'll take money from there, and it's a lot of that. With the way that I have certain things set up, certain things through the year, there are times when it's like, well, maybe I'll take money from there to pay for this. Like, I like to take money out at the start of the summer holidays so that we've got money as a family. I've been through this before. Money as a family to be able to do stuff. I take stuff out sort of like this sort of time of year so that you can get through all the things I've just listed. Obviously, when you work and you work at certain companies, there are certain times a year where the company's like, yeah, I have this sort of thing. I don't think bonus is a company secret. And sometimes you're like, oh yeah, cool. And other times you're like, really? A year's worth? Okay. And companies like to change things every 5 minutes. So sometimes like, oh, we're going to do it this way this year. It's like, that sounds terrible. It's like, oh yeah, but next year it's going to be worse. Like, cool, that sounds terrible. Bonus is a bonus. Don't ever rely on one, etc. So, I got to this point where I was like, right, okay, money's getting tight. I've had all these big expenses. Can pay for these big expenses, but that's going to put pressure on other things, and we've got things coming up and all this. Worry, panic. And I just kept saying, we've just got to get to this point in time and then this will happen, and we've just got to get to this point in time and this will happen, and then we've just got to get to this point in time and then this will happen. And that by that point, everything will be fine. It'll all be fine. So, comes to the point in time where, like I say, money's low, money's tight, and then money comes in. So you're like, okay, I've now finally put myself in a position to be able to do stuff and be able to pay stuff and to be able to buy stuff and maybe get myself a little treat while I'm at it, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of something for me. So then you're like, okay, well, I've paid, like I say, I've got a birthday coming, so I've paid the remainder of all the presents. I need to buy a card and some food items, but pretty much done from all that. So that's like, I paid for the last, and that's that bit done. And I was like, there was a thing with, if you go back a few weeks, there was a thing with earphones, taking money from here, there, and everywhere, or this, or the other. So it's like, right, okay, I need to put money back. So there's a lot of that going on, and you go through all this, and then it's like, right, okay, bit of breathing room, bit of wiggle room, bit of whatever. Right, so here's what I can do. I can get, I might treat myself to a game. There's a VR game coming out. It's going to be the next Half-Life Alyx. Every big VR game ever. That's the claim. It's going to be the next big Half-Life Alyx game. I'm like, maybe that's it. VR games don't often run super expensive. Like the top end, you're looking like 30 quid. It's why it's a great sort of games market. So like, all right, cool. Game comes out. Terrible reviews. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, we move on. We roll with the punches. Maybe it's time to treat myself to Ghost of Yoti. That's been on my list. It's probably far enough away from that thing that happens in December to warrant purchasing. Maybe just a little something for the big dog. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Oh, it's £64. £64. 64. Yeah, I'm not giving you £64 for a game. That is ridiculous. That is insane money. Bear in mind, not had the most amazing of reviews. I can find it cheaper somewhere. No problem. Let's do a search. Oh, £60. 60. No, that's not going to work for me. I know what I can do. I can get it from the place where I get discount. So what I'll do is I'll end up paying the money for it, but then I'll pay it through and get it on discount. So it'll be cheaper. Problem solved. No problem. £56, you say? Yeah, I'm not going to do that. No, sorry, I'm not going to do that. So that's that out of the window. Okay. I know. Right. I'll buy something that I need as an actual, I need to survive kind of thing. I need a pair of shoes. My feet are just suffering through the last gasp of a pair of shoes. I was like, why don't I just jump the gun, buy a new pair of shoes, and then just be done. Problem solved. I go, I look, and I'm like, okay, so what you're telling me is I can pay £25 for a pair of shoes, which I'm sure will be fantastic quality, or 80 quid. Those are my options. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll just make the others last. It's fine. The lace hasn't snapped yet, this kind of thing. Then I started thinking about it. I was like, what was resolved by, okay, now I've got this, I've made this payment and I've got this wiggle room and I've not got this huge bill breathing down my neck, and I've got this and I've got that and I've got the other, and what did I actually gain? Because initially it seemed like a lot. Yeah, the other side of it wasn't really anything. It was the weirdest sort of experience. Like I say, I was ticking off the days. 3 days. Here we go. 3 days. It'll be 3. Oh no, it'll actually be 5 days, but 3 days. And once we cross that line, it'll all be fine. Everything will be fine. Can breathe again, and like I'm watching the money going down and down and down and down and down, and I'm watching the days come off the calendar, and I'm like, I think we'll be all right. We're nearly there. We're going to make it. All this, and we crossed that line, and I was like, what difference did it make? Yes, I paid out for all the birthday stuff I needed to, the last of the birthday stuff I needed to. Technically, I could have done that beforehand. I could have done it previously. So, it didn't make that much of a difference. And I didn't buy myself any computer games because one had terrible reviews and the other one's wildly too expensive. That didn't change before or after that point in time. So there's that. I took the kids and got them some donuts. Again, could have done that beforehand. Yeah, it was just strange. Like as an adult, as a parent, you've got that whole, you're worried about this and you're worried about that and you're worried about, and it all centers around money. It's always going to be about the money. Is there any money? Do you have any money? Have you got enough money? What if you don't have any money? Then what happens? That's it. Constantly. Oh man, I've got to pay out for that. Oh, I need to pay for this. Oh my God, that's coming up. All right, okay. Oh, but then I'll get that money at that point in time and then I can use that money to pay that. And, blah, blah. And not to mention any of the other stuff. But you spend all your time worrying, and then when you get to the other side of it, you go. It's almost. I think it's like almost like, what is it you're worrying about? I get it. Not having enough of this, not having enough of that, not having enough of the other. But then when you have enough, I say enough, it's never enough. When you have more than you had, what does it really change? And I had a conversation, and the answer was comfort. And I went, yeah, that's what I came to. Comfort. Had a few days of I suppose mental health issue. I know I've spoken a bit recently about it's all too much. That bit in The Man of Steel, where the small boy version of Clark's in the, I don't know what it is, like a janitor's closet. It's like, it's all too much. And yeah, things feel a little bit like that. A lot more these days. And I did at least one, if not a couple of podcasts a little while ago about how everything felt too much. And more recently, with a variety of different thoughts and feelings and emotions, it's all too much has kind of morphed in a variety of different ways. One of those ways is that I've really been struggling to let stuff go. Now, I know what you're thinking, because if you've been here more than 5 minutes, you're like, what? You? No, surely not. Yes, I'm very much aware that this is a trait. However, it's been a little bit worse recently. I just stew and mull and regurgitate and go over and over and over and over and over stuff in my head, and it just goes up and up and up and up. I don't know, like the stress of it. I'll be like, I'll give you an example. This was an example I used in a conversation yesterday. So the kids get some donuts, mostly to escape the fact that we couldn't go anywhere because it was the marathon yesterday. So I was like, I know, we've got a series of jobs that I want to do. I want to get the car a run out, keep the battery nicely topped up. I want to take some kids to the donut place, a little trip to Timmy's. And like I say, we couldn't go anywhere because of the marathon. So I was like, we can get out of York that way, just so happens. I was like, this is the perfect combination. So off we go, I take the kids. We get the donuts, we're leaving. We drive up one roundabout, we drive to the second roundabout. And as we're pulling off, or about to pull off the roundabout, I look and there's a car about to turn off the turning where we are, because it's in the outside lane, it's not indicating, and is doing the turning. It's a big roundabout, so it's clear, evident, and whatever that this person is turning off. So I was like, okay, cool, they're turning off, I'll go. I pull out, and as I turn down the exit off the roundabout, horn. I'm like, what's going on here? Who is beeping, and why are they beeping? And I look in the rearview mirror, and the person behind me is giving it the arms and all of this, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dickhead? Like, if you were in the outside lane, you were turning off. If you weren't turning off, you shouldn't have been in the outside lane. Also, on a massive roundabout like that, if you're not indicating to say you're going round it, then you're coming off. If you are now behind me, you are well and truly in the wrong. Now, yes, I appreciate previous times of me going on and on and on about people terrible driving. This is not about that. This is about something else. I'm just using this as an example. I then had to drive the entire way back, almost to my house, with this person behind. I get back, I get in, kids in, everybody has donuts, son goes off for a nap, etc., etc. The entire time I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing, I'm like, why would you be in the outside lane? Why would you not be indicating? And having performed these two things incorrectly, why would you then have the cheek to then beep your fucking horn at me? I am relaying this story at 9 o'clock last night. This happened at 11 o'clock in the morning. I am relaying this at 9 o'clock at night. And relaying that I have stewed on this for the entire day. And basically, it reached a point where I was like, it would just go up and up and up and up and up. And then I would go, what fucking difference does it make? I'm never going to see that person again. That person is clearly an idiot. Sunday fucking drivers. I never really believed it was a thing, but fuck me, it's a thing. And it's the fucking worst. I have said every Sunday for, I'd say 3 months at this point, that I'm going to stop leaving the house on a Sunday, because Sunday drivers are a real thing and they're the fucking worst. So I had that going through my head. I had this situation that I had on Saturday where somebody had asked me to do something, but the way they'd asked me to do it, I didn't feel was like, you're asking me to do something for you. You're asking me to do a favour. You're asking me to put myself out. But the way you've asked me is like an entitlement. So I've been stewing about that. You see, this is it. There was a third thing, and I can't even remember what the third thing was. But I was in a bad way by, like I say, 9 o'clock last night, where I'm like spewing all of this out of me, going, why can't I let this shit go? So, there's me, last night, hating everything because I can't let this shit go. Today, I take myself out into the world and I'm like, fuck's sake, man. I'm running down a street to go from one main road to another main road, and I'm running, and there's a person coming the other way who looks like they should be running, dressed very much in some sort of like sporty workout gear type stuff. However, just walking down the street. I was like, okay, fair enough. Doesn't mean anything to me. Doesn't matter to me. It doesn't make any difference to me. And they waved at me. They gave me that, you're running. I look like I should be running. We have a kinship. I'm going to give you the wave. In any situation like that, I have to presume that they're waving at someone behind me. However, unless the person behind me was running at just slightly less the speed that I was, there wasn't anybody behind me. So I then went, you're not waving at someone behind me, you're waving at me. So I waved back. I thought it was strange. I thought it was a strange interaction. Off I go on my merry way, on my run. I get in the car. Now then, working where I do, we get these like notifications sometimes. Oh, by the way, don't get on a train. Trains don't work. Don't get on a plane. The planes don't work. This morning, a notification comes through. By the way, road near York shut. And I went, that doesn't sound good. I get in the car and I set off. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, just for those of you who are new. I hate Monday morning. Hate it with a passion. And if you want to know why, go back and go through the many different times that I've gone through why I hate Monday mornings. Off I am on my merry way. And I say the worst possible thing that I could have ever said and regret every moment, every syllable I said. Oh, it's quiet out here. Fucking idiot. Got halfway to work and the realization that this crash, this accident, has just delayed everyone from the roads, the rush hours, the whatever, and then they all descended at once. And I went, for fuck's sake, why did I say it? So I'm there, sat in the car, seething that I'm such a fucking idiot that I basically cursed myself. And I'm waiting to like merge into traffic at a certain point. Somebody let me out. I was like, You had absolutely no reason to let me out. Other than I'm sat here and you're sat there and nobody's really going anywhere, but letting me out, it puts you further back. So, one of those situations where you're almost offended at somebody else doing like a nice thing. You're like, why would you do that? That makes no sense, sort of thing. Yet, very appreciative. Off I go. I'm like, okay. And I'm driving. Get to work, a place like a fucking ghost town. And I'm going, and somebody held the door for me, and then another person held the door, a different door, and I was like, oh, thank you very much, thank you. As the day wore on and a variety of different things happened over the course of the day, I was like, oh, today is the day where the universe reminds me that humanity isn't lost, isn't doomed the way that I imagined it is. There are actually good, decent people out there in the world. And I need to be reminded of that at the times where I get to the point where I'm like, I hate everything. I need that remander. And it carried on, it going all the way through the day. There were a variety of different things that happened over the course of the day where I was like, I leave work, I'm driving along again, situations where people are just letting me out for no apparent reason. And then there's always that little, it's always got to pull you back from the brink. So when you're like,
People are genuinely good people. You then get stuck behind a person who has looked at all the road laws, guidances, the way to drive, and has decided to do the absolute opposite of every single one of them. And you go, yeah, there we go. And normal service is resumed. And that was the end of that. Stepped on the scales this morning to a ghastly or dastardly, Dick Dastardly, obviously, sight. And that sight was, I got on the scales before my run and I went, okay, good base, good start, good whatever. I'll lose like 8 ounces, I would have thought, from my run. Put me in a good position for the start of the week. Put me in a good position across the board. Perfect. Wonderful. Great. Went for my run. Got back. Stepped on the scales. Zero weight lost from my run. I was like, what was the fucking point of going for the run then? The run is a cheat code to lose more weight before official weigh-in. What it did mean was, in the last 3 weeks, I have put on weight. We're talking ounces. And I in my head I'm referring to this as my bulking phase, because apparently I'm putting weight on before the big end of the year diet, the cutting phase, shall we call it. My goal at this point in time is to firstly lose 6 pounds, which, if you look at my past record, not a lot. If you look at my more recent record, apparently that's a lot. So look out for some fairly drastic measures incoming. And then I would ideally like another 2, 3, 4 pounds on top of that. But like I say, drastic measures to get the 6. Can you imagine to get another 4? Yeah. Final thing for the week, and god damn it, I wish I wasn't going to have to talk about this. Also, at 56 minutes, it's definitely not one to be diving into now, but nevertheless, I am built a particular way. A lot of those are the sum of the way I was brought up and a series of decisions that I've made through my life. Unfortunately for me, certain things are hardwired and hard-coded. Some bad traits are hardwired into me. And whether I like it or not, some of those come out at particular times, and some of them are a bit of a staple for me. I've spoken before about how having my son changed me immensely. I want to say all the anger was gone. What I mean is 90% of the anger was gone. Don't put me behind the wheel of a car. But it's a notable change. You know, there was a lot of shouting and fire and brimstone and fuck this and fuck that and fuck the other. And now I saved the fuck this, fuck that and fuck the other for special occasions. And the rest of the time it's just fairly steady away. Yeah. I could do it. The point here is I could do an entire podcast on this subject. I don't know if anybody would necessarily care. However, like I say, there are certain things I don't like because of the places that they come from. And as a parent, I have, as I've said before, taken on the stance of whatever my parents did, do the opposite. And if I do the opposite, I'm on a winner. That works for most things, but like I say, hardwired, hard-coded. I come home from work. I walk through the door, passing comment to Leanne. It's just her here. And she's like, oh, there's been a situation. And I'm like, oh, what's the situation? It's like, oh, our daughter has taken it upon herself to have a falling out with her nana and has proceeded to deal with the falling out by not speaking to her nana afterwards. Her nana has been like, well, you know, what about this or what about that? What has happened? Why do you feel this way? What's going on? All this. And she has proceeded to ignore her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is me through and through. And it's not me through and through because it's a learnt thing. I went, oh shit, I know where this story's going. Her nana has said, where have you learnt this from? Why would you think that this is okay? Why would you do this? And her response has been, well, it's what Daddy would do. I was like, fuck. Leanne's like, yeah. I'm like, shit. It's like, difficult conversation has been had. And, yeah. I was like, okay, right, fine. That's me. That's on me. And I need to resolve this situation. So, I will speak to her. And obviously by this point, she'd had multiple conversations. And I've basically gone through and said, look, I know by this point in time you'll have had multiple conversations about this subject, and I'm not going to, reboil that cabbage. What I am going to say to you is that that's not right. It's not how we do things, but it's how I was brought up, and I hated it, and I hate it, and I don't want it, and I don't want it for you. I was like, so my thing for you is I am going to work on not doing that anymore. There we go. Me and Leanne had a conversation. I think she saw it as an opportunity to kind of highlight how it is for her. I took the opportunity to highlight how it is for me and how I don't want that. I don't want it for my children, especially. So it's time for that to go. Unfortunately, it means I'm going to have to, talk about my feelings and emotions, which anytime I've tried before, I've always been like, gunned down in the street like a dog. So, yeah, cannot express how much I'm looking forward to having to deal with this fucking Billy bullshit. But, yes, that was a joy to walk into this afternoon. Let's lighten the mood. Realisation has hit me whilst I've been sat here talking that movies is not the only thing missing from this week's list. No VR. I have taken a VR break. I don't want to say why, because it's sad. Into the Radius 2 had become too difficult, and I am essentially waiting for it to switch back to the standard version of the game so that I can add a load of mods to it and make it easier to play, because it was just... It just became too difficult as it was. And because of that, I didn't want to go all the way out to the third area and get stranded with a load of broken weapons, no ammo, and no health. So that's basically where I ended up. I was like, I don't think I can progress at this point. Because of that, I'm taking a VR break. If I'm honest, I thought it was going to be until this new game came out. And I was like, yeah, I can pick that up and play that. And then obviously shit reviews. So no good. Let's talk TV. I'm going to swap two of these round because one of them makes more sense to talk about first. We have finished season 3 of The Blacklist. We watched 3 episodes back to back over 3 different days and finished it up. been super high, sort of high intensity. Every time we get to sort of this position, I do end up saying I really do wonder how they're going to continue, where they're going to take it, how it's going to carry on. But we are aware it has 10 seasons, so they must be able to do something. And obviously they left it on a cliffhanger, so there we go, steady away. I have started the Splinter Cell animation, which honestly, now I look at it, I meant to look up. Yes, sorry, I know this is annoying because all I've written down is Splinter Cell, but that's not. It's like Splinter Cell. I want to say Death Wish, but that's obviously. I was so close as well. Splinter Cell Death Watch. I've watched 4 episodes. I'm on to the 5th. Haven't finished it though, so let's talk about the first 4 episodes. First episode, slow and steady wins the race. Hyper violent, like a lot of the Netflix animated stuff is, but vague and slow. By episode 2, we're off. More fast pace, more going on, more violence and all of this. By episode 3, they basically hit a groove. And that groove is, this is how this show's going to go. There's going to be a load of talking, then there's going to be a load of violence. There'll probably be some sort of shootout or a knife fight or something along those lines, and we'll move on. This was about the time I realised that basically what they've done is they've made an animated series that runs like the games run. The games are shooty, 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 talky, talky, talky. Oh, now we're going to go and do this, and we're going to shoot some bad guys, and we're going to hide, and we're going to do this, and bang, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to have a chat about it. And I went, part of me kind of feels like I want to be annoyed, but actually, I think that's pretty much perfect. It's absolutely nailed on for the sort of thing you would want from something like this. So, yeah, I'm down. Like I say, 4 episodes in, it's all going well, it's all going well. I only think there's 8 episodes, and I think I'm halfway through the 5th episode. It's fine. It's, if I was to compare it, I would say obviously the thing that makes sense to compare it to would be the more recent, so the Devil May Cry, rather than comparing it to Castlevania. Castlevania was very good and ran for very, very well for very long, and then it just seemed to branch off into all these multiple different versions, which I just completely lost track with. Devil May Cry was really good, but when you've got like a variety of different things to focus on, the devil, like the demon side of it, the Dante side of it, the swords, the guns, the, is he this, is he that, is he the other? You've got a team of people that are trained to fight here. You've got so many sides to that there's a lot to be going with. Whereas Splinter Cell is very much, it's covert, it's espionage, it's spies, it's whatever. And then it's shooty, shooty, bang, bang. And that's kind of it. So there's less to work with. Doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means it's a little bit less. Like if Devil May Cry was an 8, Splinter Cell would be like a 6 or a 7. It's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Speaking of, me and Leon have started watching Alien Earth as our off blacklist TV series. Episode 1. I was not enamoured. Super choppy. Like, oh, we're going to show you a tiny little snippet of this and a tiny little snippet of that. Just to sort of advance the story. Episode 2 was better. There was more alien, which, it's kind of what you signed up for. We watched episode 3 this evening, and episode 3 was a lot better. I do feel that these things kind of fall into that realm of, if you're making a movie, you've got 2 hours to work with. If you've got 8 one-hour episodes, you're essentially making 4 movies. The tendency is going to be to drag it out. And that is the thing for me that is the issue. I feel like it's just being dragged out. I would like, I don't know what I'd like, more Alien, I guess, but I don't mean that, if that makes any sense. My biggest, well, not my biggest, but one of my issues, one of my up there towards the top of the list issues, is that I can't stand a large amount of the cast. And that's not true. I mean the characters, not the cast. A lot of the characters are so wildly unlikable. And they've made this decision to go with like, oh, we've got these children in adult bodies. So they're just like being kids, and it's fucking annoying. So, yes, what I will say is this. Episode 1, meh. Episode 2, less meh. Episode 3, good. We've got 5 episodes to go. If it goes at that rate, by episode 8, I'm going to be like, this is the best TV show ever made. Theory holds up. Few computer game things to go through. I'm not going to talk about the game I'm playing at the moment because I've played it a fair few times and have probably reviewed it a few times. I've played a little bit of Hard Space Shipbreaker. It's much of a muchness at this point. There was a couple of things where I was like, oh, do this and do that, do the other. And yep, my answer to that is to blow up the entire ship. A couple of times it's been like, yeah, kind of my own fault. Other times I'm like, okay, I don't know what you want me to do to stop that from happening. And I'm sure it's probably told me up to this point, but I don't think I can keep track of all the things it's telling me. Turn this off, turn that off, pull this out, do that, blah, 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 blah. I finished the Dead Space remake on Saturday evening for, I honestly can't say, I'm guessing like the 4th or 5th time. There were no upgrades left to get, I know that much. It's great, it's wonderful, it's gorgeous. So, yeah. Not a lot to say about it there. I've reviewed it probably multiple times. And as far as DC Universe Online is concerned, what has become main character has hit tier 3 and a combat rate in the hundreds. And I think my daughter, who I was playing this game with, maybe doesn't want to play anymore. And I'm now like, why did I put all this time and effort in? So yeah, that's been an interesting situation to deal with. I may be wrong. I don't know. Showed no interest when she came on Friday, so I was a bit like, I even said to her, I was like, did you not want to play? I said to her, I was like, I've got something to show you. Because I wanted to show her like 2 or 3 bits that I'd picked up for this character, and no interest. So I was like, okay then. There we go. That's it. That is the week. The week that was, and the week that is, and the week that will never be again. Something to ponder. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you next time. So there we go. What do you think of that? Another one done, another one gone. Hopefully it wasn't too dark for people. Hopefully. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. And that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye. And I'll see you then.
This is a Cookie Cat production.